Hello, hello, hello. This is Leontine Oswagwu. Welcome to Unleash Your Destiny with Leontine. Today, we're going to talk about what it really means to lead from within. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. This is Leontino Swagwa. I'm really excited to be here. Welcome to Unleash Your Destiny with Leontine. This is our weekly broadcast. It's a weekly broadcast where I come on and I discuss a topic to kind of help help professionals, help us professional women who are have a call to ministry. However, they feel they have a lot of insecurity, they have a lot of fear, they have a lot of inadequacy, and they need help in order to step out and be the leaders that God has called them to be. So this is what we do. We help with mindset, we help with healing, breakthrough. So tonight I decided to share our weekly broadcast also on my personal page on Facebook, because I normally share it only in our private group. So the reason I decided to do that is because I wanted to expose it to more people. So if you are watching from my Facebook profile and you are interested in learning more about what we offer for with leading from within, head on over to our Facebook group. It's called Leading from Within, Mindset and Inner Healing Breakthrough. And it's for female professionals who feel a call to ministry or faith-based business, but they need help to overcome fear, inadequacy, insecurity, and they also want clarity. They also want clarity and a strategy so they can step out and be the transformational leaders that God has called them to be. So it's only for women and for females, for women and for Christians, okay? So today we're going to talk about what it really means to lead from within, because you know that our program is called Leading from Within, and just I just felt like people needed me to kind of come on and explain exactly what it means to lead from within, because it can mean different things to different people. So that is why I am here. I decided to do this broadcast this week on what it really means to lead from within. So before I get started, I want to talk about what it means to lead, right? Leading from within. What does leading mean? Because we do know that the word leading, leading is about leadership, right? And we know that great men such as Miles Monroe, John Maxwell, and others define leadership as influence. And we know that. And it is accurate. And leadership is the capacity that we have to have an effect on the character, on the development, and on the behavior of someone or something. That includes ourselves, right? That includes yourself, because we can't lead anyone effectively until we are able to lead ourselves. All right. So let me know if you're here. As you come on the broadcast, introduce yourself, comment, and interact with me. I will try to answer some questions if you have some questions. So we can't lead ourselves effectively, if we can't lead others effectively, rather, if we don't lead ourselves effectively, right? Because we know that leadership is influence. So, for instance, mothers have influence on their children. Husbands have influence on their wives. Pastors have influence over their flocks. CEOs have influence over their people and over their organizations, right? And I believe that our inner life is what fuels our leadership, aka Proverbs 44:23, who tells us, guard our heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. So your inner life, your mind, your will, your emotions are the things that are fueling your outward performance. So in other words, the values that we believe in, the convictions that we have, the character that we have, the sense of integrity or the lack thereof that we carry, all of those things are the wind beneath our leadership wings, if I can say it that way, right? Which means that in order for us to be effective as leaders, in order for us to impact anyone or anything in a positive way, our inner life must be in order, right? Hence, leading from within. So if there's, for instance, if there is chaos and confusion on the inside of us, it will reflect on our leadership. And if there is fear, if there's anxiety, if there's insecurity, if there's depression on the inside of us, it will reflect on our leadership, right? So if there's also low self-esteem and shame on the inside of us, guess what? It will also show in whatever it is that we do as leaders. And that's very important. That's very important because the quality of life of the people that are being led by us will be greatly impacted by our character, right? And our values, because what we believe and who we are will leak into what we do and impact the people around us. So there's something that we cannot escape. Well, somebody might ask, does it mean that me as a leader, I have to have it all together before I can try to build anything for God or pursue purpose in general? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Hi, everyone. So it's absolutely not. So, but every last one of us, because every last one of us would be completely unusable if that was the case. Because none of us is perfect, and I believe that we won't fully be able to reflect the image of Christ until we go to glory, until we die, right? So if we all have to have it all together in order to be usable by God, guess what? None of us stood a chance, right? But what we do have to do now, though, is we don't have to be completely whole, but we need to have a spiritual compass. That's what I believe. We need to have a spiritual compass. And we need to have a guide, which is a guide that leads us in the direction that we need to follow in order to be the leaders that God has created us to be. So, as Christians, and we all know that, our spiritual compass is the God who guides us through his word and through his spirit and gives us a set of values and principles that we are to live by. That is our compass. That is our compass. That is our compass. That is what we are supposed to live by. So there's a story in the book of Luke, chapter 17, where Jesus encountered 10 lepers, right? You can check it out for yourself. And it says that when they saw Jesus, they cried out, "Master, have pity on us." And when Jesus hears that, and he tells them to start walking, he tells them, "Go show yourself to the priest." He didn't tell them, "Oh, you poor thing, sit right here until I fix you completely before you can start moving." That's not what Jesus said. Jesus said, "Go show yourself to the priest." And the Bible tells us in verse 14, it says that as they went, they were cleansed. As they went, they were cleansed. So the high priest represents Jesus, and the high priest also represents purpose. So as we move closer to Jesus, the closer we get to purpose, and the closer we get to purpose, the cleaner we will become. So these lepers, they were leprous when Jesus saw them. They were leprous when Jesus spoke to them. And they were also leprous when they started out on their journey. But as they embraced the assignment and as they started walking in purpose, they were progressively healed. That is powerful. That is powerful. And I know that that is helping a lot of us because I have been deceived for many years. I was deceived for many years. I thought there was just so much wrong with me that God can possibly use anything in me until I was completely whole, which kept me stagnated for many years. But Jesus gave them an instruction, and the instruction was their spiritual compass. And as they began to follow that compass towards purpose, they began to get clean. Because with purpose, God does not expect us to wait until we have it all together. He wants us to follow his instructions and keep moving. And as we go, scales begin to fall off of us. Calluses begin to fall off, and warts and dead skin and all of those undesirable aspects of us begin to fall off of us. And then we will begin to get clean. So he cleanses us as we go. So our healing and our wholeness is progressive. It is in our going and in our doing. So for Oswago Unlimited, which is our business, people who lead from within are leaders who follow God's instructions, people who lead themselves effectively so they can lead others. That's what leading from within really means. So they are leaders whose values and whose paradigm are aligned with their spiritual compass, which is the Word of God and the Spirit of God. So leaders who lead from within are leaders who've made a decision to let their compass be their guide no matter what the cost. So in other words, they will love no matter what because God says to love. They will keep their word no matter what because God says to do so. They will trust God no matter what because that is what the word says. They will humble themselves no matter what because that is what the word says. They will learn to lead and they will learn to be led. Because you cannot lead effectively until you are able to be led. They will work on themselves so they can become a true reflection of Jesus, so they can lead themselves and lead others into purpose. And as we become what we were always meant to be before life has tainted us, because many of us have been tainted by life, and I include myself in that. As we become what we were always meant to be before life tainted us, before the trauma, before the pain, before the divorce, before the betrayal, before the layoff, before anything else, success will be a byproduct of our commitment to become a reflection of Jesus to a dying world. Success will be a byproduct of our commitment to become a reflection of Jesus to a dying world. That is what we mean when we say leading from within. That is what we mean when we say leading from within. So that requires that we as Christian women intentionally pursue mental, pursue spiritual, and emotional freedom. So we need to intentionally pursue mental freedom, spiritual freedom, and emotional freedom. So what does that mean? Well, mental freedom is when we have the ability to take control over our thought life in a way that allows us to stop negative thinking on its tracks and prevent those thinking patterns or those thoughts, prevent them from taking root, impacting us emotionally and causing us to self-sabotage. So these are the types of thoughts that I'm never going to succeed in this business. I'm never going to succeed in this ministry. So many people are more qualified than me. I don't have the right credentials. No one wants to hear from me. No one wants to hear what I have to offer. These are all thoughts that self-sabotage. And when we continue to have those thoughts, we do nothing. We get paralyzed. And doing nothing is also self-sabotage. Hating people who can help us is self-sabotage. So mental freedom is when we are able to arrest these thoughts, deactivate them at the root, and anchor new thoughts so we can break through all of the mental barriers and do what we are supposed to do. So a leader who leads from within has to be intentional about pursuing mental freedom. Also, a leader who leads from within has to intentionally pursue spiritual freedom. What does that mean? Spiritual freedom is when we are in a place where we are unashamed and completely unhindered in our worship to God in the word, in word, in deed, and in attitude. It is being in a place where, in spite of whatever life may bring, in spite of who does what to us, in spite of who doesn't do what to us, we are free to draw from God, from the power of God within us, to keep moving forward and let our life be a sign and a wonder to others, for others to follow. That is what leadership is all about. So that our life may become a sign and a wonder so other people can follow. So we also need to intentionally pursue spiritual freedom. And thirdly, we have to also intentionally pursue emotional freedom if we want to lead from within. And emotional freedom is when we can exemplify the character of Christ in spite of what happens externally. It is when we have the ability to rise above our emotions and not allow them to negatively impact us, impact the way we live, the way we treat people, and the way we execute in business and ministry. It's when we can remain steadfast, unmovable, and unshakable on the inside, in spite of adversity and all of the tangible intimidation tactics that the enemy uses, because we are deeply anchored in the rock of all ages, which is Jesus. It is our ability to remain unmovable, unshakable on the inside, in spite of the adversity and all of the tangible intimidation tactics that the enemy throws at us, because we are deeply rooted and anchored in the rock of all ages, which is Jesus Christ. That is what it means to lead from within. And also, mental and spiritual and emotional freedom is a result of learning how to take responsibility for our thought life. It is learning how to take responsibility for our emotional garden or our emotional life. And it's also learning to take responsibility for our spiritual well-being so we can push past the traps, the schemes, and the hindrances of the enemy and life, so we can be all that God has called us to be. So I want to invite us today to become active pursuers of mental, spiritual, and emotional freedom. Let's stop making excuses about why we can't be excellent in attitude and in deed. Let's be in active pursuit of mental, emotional, and spiritual excellence. And when we start being an active pursuit of mental, emotional, and spiritual excellence and freedom, it empowers us. It empowers us. It empowers us to stop allowing fear to suffocate our purpose and prevent us from owning our voice. It empowers us to stop allowing jealousy and competition to cause us to sabotage relationships that God wants to help us to use to help us. When we begin to pursue emotional freedom, spiritual freedom, and mental freedom, it empowers us to stop perpetrating negative cycles because of distractions and a lack of boundaries. It empowers us to put an end to confusion and overwhelm so we can begin to put on paper what God has put in our hearts. The Bible tells us to write the vision down and make it plain, that whoever reads the vision will run with it. But if we have confusion and overwhelm in our mind, because we are not intentionally pursuing mental freedom, emotional freedom, and spiritual freedom, we won't be able to begin to put on paper what God has put in our heart. But when we begin to intentionally pursue those things, it empowers us to treat people right in spite of their treatment of us, because we live according to higher standards. It empowers us to begin to value our gifts enough not to allow people to manipulate us for their selfish motives. It also empowers us to start truly believing in ourselves and investing in ourselves and our purpose so God can take us to the next level. That is what leading from within means. And when we lead, we as leaders lead from within, we will begin to exemplify godly values in such a way that the people under our care will find safety in our leadership. And when we lead from within, that we will begin to epitomize the true love of God in our relationships, because we are not intimidated by no one, which makes us free to love, free to support, and free to be generous. And when we begin to lead from within, we will begin to embrace emotional intelligence, resilience, and persistence in a way that makes the devil back up when he sees us coming. When we begin to lead from within, we will be able to demonstrate incredible mental, emotional, and spiritual strength that will allow us to break through any barrier that life puts in front of us. Also, when we begin to lead from within, we will begin to exude the type of confidence, the type of boldness and courage that makes us irritating to the insecure, but makes us incredibly attractive to the destiny partners that God has for us, the people who are supposed to lock arms with us to take us to our next level. Also, when we begin to lead from within, we will become unstoppable, because we will begin to be so secure in God's plan for our life that we will not hesitate to remove people and things from our lives that are standing between us and our purpose. And when we begin to lead from within, we will begin to a lifelong metamorphosis that will make us magnetic to those whom God has assigned to us. And success will be a byproduct of that type of transformation. Success will be a byproduct of that type of transformation. Will it come overnight? Absolutely not. Will it come overnight? Absolutely not. Probably not. But if we embrace the process and do the inner work required, our God guarantees us in his word that he who has begun a good work in us shall complete it until the day of Jesus Christ, because he knows the plans that he has for us, plans to prosper us and not to harm us, to give us a hope and a future. That's what leading from within means. That's what leading from within is all about. It's about building unbreakable courage. It's about building unbreakable boldness and confidence. It's about pursuing healing from the inside out so we can desensitize our triggers. It's about pursuing mental, spiritual, and emotional liberation so our life can be a true reflection of what it means to be a child of God who is fully operating in God's purpose for their life. Leading from within is an absolute non-negotiable. And as a Christian woman, that is the only way to live. That's the only way to build a business. That is the only way to build relationships. That is the only way to build a family. Because that is the only type of execution that God endorses. And that is the only type of execution and lifestyle that God backs up. That is what leading from within means for me. That is what leading from within means for me and for our business. So if you want to learn more about what we do and how we can help transform you from the inside out so you can step out and be the transformational leader that God has called you to be, check out our website, www.leadingfromwithin.cc, and book a call with us. Book a call with us and let us know how we can help you. All right, so this is it for tonight. I hope this was informational. The purpose of these broadcasts is to equip and to sharpen and to liberate and to unleash your destiny. That is what the purpose of these broadcasts are. So let us know in the comment section what your thoughts are about today's broadcast. And meet me Monday, again, Monday evening at 7 p.m. for another broadcast, another Unleash Your Destiny with Leontine. And next week, we will talk about how to handle your triggers, how to handle your triggers. And I look forward to that lesson as well. So have an amazing evening. all the mothers out there, I hope you had an amazing Mother's Day yesterday. Have an amazing evening. Have an amazing week. And we'll talk to you again next Monday. All right. Have fun. Bye bye. Have a great evening.